The first year after my divorce, I announced an indefinite retreat from the public eye. The tabloids and social media had already written the story for me. They said Scarlett had been discarded by Lucas, that I'd finally snapped, that the woman they once watched on red carpets had quietly lost her mind somewhere off camera. That narrative held, right up until the day a short video, shot by an utterly unknown creator, exploded onto the trending page. My life, reduced to a series of clips, was uploaded in 7 chapters. It was framed as the final curtain call of my existence. The very first episode carried a title that felt like a death notice written in advance. When you see this video, I will already be gone. On the day it was filmed, I had wrapped myself in a thick hoodie, the kind that swallowed your shoulders and made you disappear into yourself. Oversized black sunglasses covered most of my face, leaving only my eyes exposed to the world. I was halfway down the street when a figure suddenly stepped into my path. "Hey, hi," she said, a little breathless. "I'm a content creator. I help strangers make their wishes come true. Could I take a few minutes of your time for a short interview?" It had been 3 months since I walked away from the spotlight. My first instinct was panic. I assumed I'd been recognized by yet another relentless paparazzo. I waved her off without looking, pivoted on my heel, and started walking faster. But she didn't give up. "Do you have a bucket list?" she called after me. "Anything unfinished? I can help you do it. For free." I didn't slow down. Then I heard her footsteps close behind me, her voice turning urgent as she shoved her phone toward my line of sight. "I'm not a scammer, I swear. Look, this is my channel. I'm verified." I thought she was rude. Pushy. Invasive in that way only strangers with nothing to lose can be. Still, I glanced at the screen. She wasn't lying. The channel was real, just painfully small. A handful of videos. Views so low they were almost embarrassing. I looked up at her face, flushed red with anxiety but completely sincere, and something in me softened. She reminded me of myself at the very beginning. Back when I was hungry, hopeful, and standing outside audition rooms, convincing myself rejection was just part of the process. Against my better judgment, I stopped. "What kind of wish could you possibly help me with?" I asked. She froze, clearly shocked that I'd answered at all. After a beat, she scratched the back of her head, smiling awkwardly. "That depends on what you want. Honestly, you're the 17th person I've asked today. Everyone else thought I was selling something. But maybe there's someone you want to see. Somewhere you've always wanted to go. You tell your story. I'll handle the rest." I studied her, a mischievous thought flickering through my mind, tempered by the fear that I might scare her off if I said it out loud. "What if," I said slowly, my tone turning deliberate, "I asked you to document the final journey of my life? Would you still be interested?" I paused, letting the weight of it settle. "On one condition. None of the footage can be released before I die. And if I don't die, if I survive, then every single clip gets destroyed. No uploads. No exceptions." I met her eyes. "Would you dare to take that bet?" The creator's name was Mia. She was small, thin, almost fragile-looking. Sitting across from me now, she looked painfully uncomfortable. No, that wasn't quite right. She looked like she was on the verge of breaking down completely. "Scarlett, I never imagined it was you." I really didn't. Her eyes were red-rimmed, as if her brain simply refused to process what was right in front of her. "I grew up watching your movies. I love you. I really do." "Well," I said calmly, "that's just my luck. I either don't get sick at all, or when I do, I go all in." I pulled a tissue from the box and slid it toward her. "Right now, there are several different kinds of cancer cells throwing a party inside my body. The doctors say I've got about 6 months left. Maybe less." The hand holding her camera started to shake. "So, this is the real reason you disappeared?" "Yeah. I couldn't keep filming anymore. The chemo drained everything out of me." I gave a dry, crooked smile. "And besides, the tabloids were already speculating that I'd shaved my head because I'd lost my mind." That was the first time I took off my wig in front of a camera. Underneath it, the hair that used to be thick and glossy was now patchy and sparse. My pale scalp showed through clearly, making me look like some overexposed alien from a bad sci-fi movie. "You know how this industry works," I said lightly. Image is everything. If paparazzi kept catching me looking like this, how was I supposed to save face? I pulled my hat back on and looked at her stunned expression. I'm greedy, I added. I want 7 wishes. You help me make 7 videos. Deal? May 2nd, 2024 to May 8th, 2024. Episode 1, Part 1. When you see this video, I will already be gone. Move the camera a little to the left, I said. Fans always say my left side looks better. It's my Hollywood face. Mia was noticeably calmer than she'd been a week earlier, though she admitted that after learning the truth, she cried alone in her apartment for days and completely missed her upload schedule. Don't worry, she said, forcing a smile as she rubbed her swollen eyes. I'll shoot you like a Vogue cover. So, Scarlett, what's your first wish? I want to hike across the High Sierra. She nodded immediately. No problem. I'll look up routes and permits right now. But why there? I turned toward the camera, tried to smile, and failed. Lucas and I once promised each other we'd do that trail for our 5th anniversary. That date is gone now, but I still want to go in our place. People say that kind of wilderness can wash your soul clean. Don't they? The mountains were far, but not unreachable. After flying into a small airport in California, we rented an off-road vehicle and drove straight toward the trailhead. The thin air at high altitude made my already fragile body rebel immediately. I spent 2 days half unconscious in the back seat before we finally reached the starting point. Mia hovered over me like an overprotective nanny the entire way, constantly checking my oxygen levels and repeating safety reminders. I teased her, laughing softly. Relax. My doctor already told me, it's all a countdown anyway. Dying in a hospital bed or dying in a beautiful place doesn't make much difference. That single sentence was enough to make her eyes turn red again. As she packed our gear, she asked carefully, Scarlett, you and Lucas, was the divorce mutual? I knew exactly what she was testing. Back then, our divorce had been a full-scale media circus, easily the PR disaster of the year. But standing at the edge of the world, with my life already running out, I finally had the courage to tell the truth. From his perspective? Definitely not, I said. He believes, just like the gossip magazines, that I betrayed the marriage. So you really didn't cheat, right? Mia's eyes lit up instantly. I knew my instincts were right. I smiled and nodded. Of course not. That man. I paused, then continued quietly. He was my entire world. How could I have ever made room for anyone else? Young creators can't hide their emotions. Not at all. Behind the camera, Mia completely lost it. She was crying so hard her words came out shaking. Back then, the entire internet was calling you a liar, she sobbed. The slut-shaming was everywhere. How did they even dare? In the end, I found myself comforting her on camera instead. When she finally calmed down, I let out a long breath and admitted the truth. All right. I'll tell you. That whole cheating scandal? I staged it myself. May 2nd, 2024 to May 8th, 2024. Episode 1, Part 2. When you see this video, I will already be gone. 6 months before I signed the divorce papers, I got my diagnosis. Back then it was still early stage. The specialist told me that if I went all in on an aggressive treatment plan, my survival odds were acceptable. I learned later that doctors are either hopeless optimists, or very skilled liars when they need you to keep paying. I asked my best friend, someone I've known since middle school, to help me put on a show. I needed a clean, decisive break from Lucas. Don't let his image fool you. He's a ruthless tech CEO, calm and precise like an AI. But emotionally, he's obsessive, stubborn, and has an absolute intolerance for betrayal. I didn't go into the rest. Anyone listening could fill in the blanks. Mia sniffed and asked softly, why didn't you tell him the truth? If it was about sharing the pain. Dying isn't poetic, I cut in, staring at the distant snow-covered peaks. It's tubes, bad smells, and losing control of your body. Why drag him into that swamp with me? I want to remain the Scarlett he remembers, the one glowing on red carpets. Not a withered body trapped in a hospital bed. Mia suddenly hesitated, then said, TMZ's been reporting that Lucas might have someone new. Is that so? I said honestly. Then good for him. He's the type who needs someone around. Or maybe someone who needs him. I swallowed hard as a wave of nausea rolled through me, the familiar warning that my pain medication was wearing off. That part wasn't acting. When you're close to dying, jealousy becomes a luxury emotion. I used to joke with Lucas that if he ever brought another woman into our house after I died, I'd come back as a ghost and break his legs. But now, letting go turned out to be easier than I thought. That was when our guide joined us. We'll rest here tonight. From here on out, it's all foot travel. Total distance is a little over 30 miles. Just so you know, the altitude's high, everything feels longer than it looks. The first day of hiking, our goal was a campsite beside an alpine lake. They said the sunrise there was unforgettable. I feel guilty, I told Mia quietly. Dragging you out here for my own selfish reasons. It's not fair to you. She shook her head and tightened her backpack straps. I know my limits. If I can't go on, I'll say so. And I saw your prep list, you planned this for months. You even upgraded the first aid kit to a professional level. Luckily, whether by sheer luck or a final burst of life, we didn't suffer serious altitude sickness. The weather favored us too. On the morning after our first night at camp, I finally saw the legendary alpine glow. Golden red light poured over the snowy peaks like molten metal. I spread my arms wide, imitating Instagram influencers, and shouted into the empty valley, "If you can, please forget me completely." Then I thought for a second and yelled again, "Lucas. I came to see it for you. You don't have to come anymore." Along the way, we met countless thru-hikers searching for themselves. We were caught in sudden hailstorms. We choked down barely edible dehydrated meals. We slept on hard rock with nothing but thin pads beneath us. It took us 3 full days to finish the trail. At the end of that episode, I looked straight into the camera and wrapped it up myself. "There's actually a secret I haven't told you," I said. "When I first started planning this trip, I was thinking about ending everything here." Mia's hand jerked in shock. She almost dropped the camera and rushed toward me, grabbing my hand tightly. I patted the back of her ice-cold fingers and kept going. At the time, I thought, what's the difference? There was no cure anyway. Dying in a glacial lake, or getting buried under heavy snow, becoming a missing person forever. It sounded kind of romantic, didn't it? But once I actually got here, standing in front of something this vast, this overwhelming, I suddenly didn't want to die anymore. I wanted to live out whatever time I have left like a real human being. Even if it's just to finish filming these videos. After calming herself down, Mia asked, "Do you have any regrets about this trip?" I nodded, feeling guilty the moment the thought surfaced. My parents live on the East Coast. They still think I'm working. I lied to them. I didn't tell them I'm sick. I told them I took an indie film and I'm shooting deep in the mountains with terrible reception. I'm sorry, Mom. Dad. I think I'm a terrible daughter. June 4th, 2024. Episode 2, Part 1. The Life Flashback. After returning from the wilderness, it took me a full month to recover enough strength to contact Mia again. The altitude sickness lingered, layered with pure exhaustion. Somewhere in between, I went through another round of chemotherapy. After every treatment, getting out of bed felt harder than climbing a mountain. It was as if the drugs were killing the cancer cells and draining my soul at the same time. I wasn't sure I could fully trust this girl I'd only met a handful of times. If she leaked the first video right then, she could become a TikTok sensation overnight. What I was doing was gambling, betting that when someone is faced with a person who will be dead in a matter of months, they'll still cling to a shred of basic decency. "Scarlett," she asked, "what's your second wish?" "I want people to get to know me again," I said. "And I want to walk back through the road I came from." Mia frowned at the image of me on the monitor. "You don't look well. We can slow this down." "It's okay," I replied. "I waited until my energy bar was full before coming to you. When the curtain's about to fall, people get greedy. The list of things they want to do only gets longer." She tilted her head. "Your look today feels very retro. It reminds me of the last secret of summer." That day, I was wearing a playful bob cut wig. In that show, I'd played a fresh graduate trying to survive in New York, falling into a love-hate relationship with a young tech prodigy. I smiled and touched the ends of the wig. My only privilege now is switching hairstyles whenever I want. Pretty cool, right? But you've lost so much weight, she said gently. Didn't anyone around you notice? I shifted uncomfortably away from the camera. Lucas and I are divorced, so we don't see each other. Since I got sick, I've used work as an excuse to avoid going back home. But parents are still parents, they insist on video calls. Want to know how I got away with it? I sighed. I told them I took a role that required losing 30 pounds, that I was doing extreme method acting. The worst truths are always hidden behind the weakest lies. Mia rubbed her eyes. So where do you want to go in this episode? Back to where I grew up. After a 2-hour drive, we arrived at the blue-collar neighborhood from my childhood. What about Penny? Mia asked. Your assistant, the one who was always with you? Penny was sweet and simple, often appearing in my old vlogs. Fans loved her. Oh, Penny? I gave her a long vacation. So, she knows about your illness? I laughed. Of course not. I have Oscar-level acting skills. I told her that after the divorce scandal, I was depressed and needed to go on an eat, pray, love journey to find inner peace. She believed you? Not at all. She and my agent almost dragged me to a psychiatric clinic. In the end, I had to beg them for space. I promised I'd get better, that when I came back from traveling, I'd be a brand new Scarlett. They didn't suspect anything? How could they not? A wig can cover your scalp, but it can't hide your eyes. In the end, my agent just said she didn't care when I went back to work or made money again. She just wanted me to stay alive. At that point, tears spilled down my face. I wiped the corners of my eyes. That silly girl Penny. She bought me 10 different custom wigs with her own money. She said they were my happy breakup gift. At that point, I stopped walking. I was completely barefaced now. A baseball cap pulled low, a mask covering half my face, the most ordinary hoodie and jeans, a faded canvas tote slung over my shoulder. To anyone passing by, I was just another tourist drifting through the neighborhood. I took a sip from my thermos and nodded ahead. See that? That's my elementary school. Lincoln Elementary? Mia asked. You went there? I nodded and pointed toward an old oak tree by the edge of the playground fence. Back then I was trying to prove I was braver than the boys. I climbed all the way up to the highest branch, and then I couldn't get down. I was crying up there, peeing my pants from fear. In the end, the fire department had to come get me. It's class time now, Mia said softly. Security's tight. We probably can't go in. I don't want to go in, I replied. I'll just look from outside. Don't disturb the kids. I just want one last look, so that after I die, at least I won't forget this place completely. She sniffed again. Hey, why are you crying again? Hollywood really should cast you in tragic roles. I pointed toward an alley a few blocks away. Come on. I'll show you where my house used to be. I haven't been back in years. But when the car turned onto that street, I froze. I stood there, completely stunned, hair whipping in the wind. Then I laughed out loud. Oh my God. This place got gentrified. The red brick row houses from my memory were gone. In their place stood brand new luxury apartments and a supermarket. Well, this is awkward, I said to the camera, shrugging. Looks like my childhood home doesn't exist anymore. With the mask on, the audience probably couldn't see my expression. But inside, something felt hollow. Walk a little further, I said. I'll tell you about it from memory. This used to be an old working-class neighborhood. The media always said I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I've explained it 1,000 times, no one ever believed me. So let me clear it up now. I grew up in places like this. Red brick houses. Our neighbor had a vicious bulldog. One winter, after a huge snowfall, I went out wearing thick snow pants to tease the dog. It chased me for 2 full blocks and finally bit me on the butt. What? Mia gasped. Lucky for me it was winter, I said. My grandma had stuffed me into 3 layers of pants. The dog's teeth went through the padding but never broke skin. It sounded ridiculous even to me. Mia was laughing so hard she bent over. Scarlett, I cannot picture you waddling around in giant snow pants while being chased by a dog. After we laughed it off, I said, "Come on. I'll take you to my high school. It's not far from here." I stopped walking. That's also where I first met Lucas. June 4th, 2024. Episode 2, Part 2. The Life Flashback. Before we go to the school, I want to see if that old diner is still around. It used to be our hangout. Luckily, the place was still there. Joe's Diner. The sign had been replaced with neon, but the owner was still the same old man named Joe. "I haven't dared come in here for years," I said. "I don't know if it still tastes the same." We weren't well off when I was a kid. Back then, eating greasy high-calorie junk food in a place that smelled like oil and smoke felt like the height of happiness. "You're just ordering chili cheese fries?" Mia frowned. "No burger." "When I was young, this was the best food in the world," I said. "Joe's secret chili sauce is unbeatable. Try some." The flavor was still rich and heavy, but my stomach could no longer handle it. "So," Mia asked carefully, "has the taste changed?" "No," I said, tears welling up. "Not at all." Then I sighed. "It's still delicious. My stomach just isn't built for it anymore." I put the fork down. Mia kept eating while wiping her eyes. "Scarlett, I guess I've shared part of your childhood now." Just then, a plate appeared in front of us. A slice of freshly baked cherry pie. I turned toward the counter. "Sir, we didn't order this." Joe was wiping down the coffee machine, not even looking up. "It's on the house. The way you're dressed, the way you eat, it reminds me of a crazy little girl who used to run around this street. Heard she grew up to be a big star." "Do I look like her?" My eyes burned. If she knew someone still remembered her, she'd be really happy. "Couple years ago, I heard she came back for a community event," Joe said, hands still moving. "Didn't make it through the crowd myself. Oh, and every time she came here, she ordered chili cheese fries. Even when she was dieting, she'd sneak in for them." "Grandpa, was she very naughty when she was little?" Mia cut in. "Naughty?" Joe chuckled. "She was the ringleader of this whole street. But she was also the most lovable one." He sighed softly. "No idea how she's doing now. This block's about to be taken over by developers, and I'm too old to keep working. Guess I won't get to see her again." "But you said she became a star," Mia said. "Can't you see her on TV?" "I only remember her with her ponytail when she was a kid," Joe replied. "All those heavy makeup faces on TV, I can't recognize them. To me, she's just that little brat who loved fries." I leaned toward Mia's camera and whispered, "After she debuted, Scarlett became a stage name. This old man only knows the little girl called Sarah." "Grandpa," Mia said gently, "she must just be too busy. If she ever comes back, she'll definitely visit you." "Yeah," Joe nodded. "But I know that kid has a good heart. Every month for years now, someone's been anonymously sending me money to help cover this place's rent." He stared out the window. "Other than that silly girl, who would care about an old wreck like me? I've given away a lot of cherry pie over the years. Don't even know if today's slice went to the right person." After we stepped out of the diner, Mia asked quietly, "Scarlett, you came here just to see him, didn't you?" "So you noticed," I said, not avoiding the camera. "When I was at my most rebellious as a teenager, Joe always saved me a seat. Never chased me away. He's been alone his whole life. I just wanted to help in whatever small way I could." Suddenly something clicked for Mia. She forgot to steady the shot, and the camera drifted toward the sidewalk. "The trashy media always says you live extravagantly and lack empathy," she said angrily. "They even call you Hollywood's famous cheapskate. All because you once withdrew a college scholarship." That really was my dark chapter. I'd been dragged on Twitter for 3 days straight. Lost 2 luxury brand endorsements over it. "The truth is, I talked to that student," I said. "I was willing to cover all her tuition and living expenses. But later I found out she'd used the money to buy designer bags and was planning a spring break trip to Cancun. She thought I was a celebrity, that this amount meant nothing to me, and that I shouldn't be so petty." I pulled a mint candy from my pocket and handed it to Mia. If it's a choice between feeding vanity and helping kids who actually need books, I know where my money belongs. As we talked, we reached the gates of my high school. Still closed. Still locked. That's the main building, I said. The gym's behind it. All these years later, even the football field's been replaced with artificial turf. Scarlett, Mia said, the audience is definitely curious about your love story with Lucas. Did that start here too? In high school, I was a pure bookworm, I said. All I did was study. He transferred in during senior year. I walked with her along the chain-link fence and pointed to a window on the second floor. See that classroom? AP Physics. That's where we met. Back then, I was convinced he was always picking on me because he was jealous of my #1 GPA. I couldn't stand him. I smiled faintly. I never imagined I'd go from a sleep-deprived high schooler to a sleep-deprived adult. Mia laughed. You must pull all-nighters on set all the time. All the time, I said. Being able to nap for 10 minutes on set counts as luxury. You can't exactly show up to a high-definition camera looking like a worn-out hag. So how did you go from enemies to lovers? She asked. I clicked my tongue and shook my head. Don't be fooled by how polished he looks at press conferences. He's actually very calculating. I always thought his scores were just a few points below mine, and I'd secretly feel smug every time report cards came out. Turns out, I continued, he was deliberately controlling his grades. He said the little proud look on my face whenever I ranked first was adorable, so he'd intentionally get 1 or 2 questions wrong every time, just enough to stay in second place. I guess when this video airs, people will laugh at him for being so manipulative, I added. When I found out the truth, I was so mad I ignored him for a whole month. After prom, he actually confessed to me. I was convinced he was messing with me, so I said something brutal. If I ever dated you, I'd eat the football. And you know how he pursued me? I said, smiling at the memory. No flowers. No candles. Every single morning without fail, he brought me a bagel and a cup of coffee, exactly the way I liked them. He kept it up for a full month. I honestly think that if he hadn't finally gone all in, blocked my locker one morning and refused to let me leave, I might have gone my whole life without realizing he liked me, I said, shaking my head. I'm telling you, once this video airs, his whole cold, untouchable CEO image is going to shatter. To chase me, he turned into a complete shameless puppy. I looked straight into the camera, my smile fading, my tone turning serious. I've shown you where the story began. What I hope is that from now on, my name and his can be completely untied. He still has a long life ahead of him. And I hope the fans who love me won't bother him, won't attack him, won't drag him into this. I paused. If I'm already gone, then love and hate don't really matter anymore. No matter how ugly things became in the end, the warmth he once gave me was real. Leaving the high school, the walking finally caught up with me. A deep, unfamiliar exhaustion settled into my bones. I sat down on a bench by the lake. Mia crouched in front of me, holding her phone up at an angle. Scarlett, she asked softly, what are you thinking about right now? A gust of wind blew my wig across my eyes. I rubbed at the soreness gathering in the corners. I've already signed an organ donation agreement, I said quietly. Let my eyes keep seeing this world for me. There was one sentence I never said out loud, only repeated silently in my heart. Lucas, you win this round. I miss you so much. June 15th, 2024 to June 17th, 2024. Episode 3, Part 1. Why do we always have to face goodbye? Because I want to go to the next stop early, and help you set up your new home. Off camera, Mia's voice came hesitantly. Scarlett, are you sure about this? Taking me to your parents' house. Just 2 days, I replied. I want you to record what my real life looks like. Or maybe this counts as a kind of digital legacy. I want to leave my parents something they can watch again and again. They'd only enjoyed a few short years of peace because of me, only to be forced now to face the cruelty of parents outliving their child. So what am I supposed to be? Mia asked carefully. Your assistant? My friend, I said, turning to her with a smile. Aren't we all ready? The sound of her sniffling slipped into the frame and hit me right where it hurt most. That's really nice, she said. I can't believe I get to be your friend. Just imagining my parents crying like that made my stomach twist. I thought of 1,000 ways to tell them the truth, I said while driving. A letter. A recording. Sitting them down for a family meeting. But in the end, I chickened out. The car rolled onto a familiar tree-lined avenue. You know, when I was first diagnosed, it was still early stage. I locked myself in my apartment for 2 full days. When I finally came out, I'd made up my mind, I was going to hide it. I thought if it was early, I could handle it alone, like some kind of superhero. I swallowed. But I was wrong. I couldn't outrun the speed of the cancer spreading. I glanced at her. Hey, stop crying. The camera's shaking. If my dad sees you crying, he'll think I bullied you and confiscate my snacks. I let out a breath. Life always leaves regrets behind, doesn't it? It has nothing to do with how many zeros are in your bank account. Some things just don't have answers. My parents were already waiting on the porch. As soon as the car stopped, they hurried over to grab my bag. That's it? Just one small bag? My dad asked. Oh, come on, I laughed. I only have 2 days off. My mom immediately switched into scan mode. Why are you so thin? Are they starving you on set? Mom, the new role requires weight loss, I said smoothly. I'm playing a ballerina struggling through the Great Depression. If I'm not skinny enough, that's unprofessional. What kind of awful production is that? She muttered, squeezing my arm with concern. They really don't treat actors like people. All right, I said quickly. Once this project wraps, I'm taking a long break. I'll stay home and let you feed me high-calorie junk food until I turn into a ball, okay? My dad cut in, lowering his voice. Don't stand around chatting at the door. Get inside. If the neighbors see you, they'll post it on Facebook again. I burst out laughing. Dad, your counter-surveillance instincts are getting sharp. I have no choice, he said dryly. When you first retired, I thought I could finally go outside in my pajamas to get the newspaper. Now you're back in the spotlight again. How am I not supposed to be careful? You women are harder to predict than the stock market. Mia followed me inside. Hello, Uncle, Auntie. I'm Scarlett's friend. This girl has such a sweet face, my mom said immediately. But why are you so skinny too? Once you step into my house, you're not allowed to leave without gaining at least 2 pounds. Deal, thank you, Auntie, Mia replied instantly, fully committed, grinning. Scarlett's been telling me forever that your cooking is Michelin level. I've been craving it for ages. The moment the words left her mouth, all 4 of us froze. The air went completely still for 3 full seconds. I rubbed my forehead in defeat. I forgot to brief her on the script. My mother is a walking kitchen disaster, passionately devoted to every form of culinary chaos. In reality, the real chef in this family has always been my dad. But for the sake of domestic harmony, we've maintained a unified public narrative for years. Mom cooks. Period. I jumped in quickly, holding out my hand. Mom, since I've hyped you up this much, shouldn't I get some hush money? Ask your father, she waved me off. My secret stash is reserved for buying you candy. God, this feeling. In an instant, I was pulled straight back into childhood. Mom, I said laughing, you spoiled me like this when I was little. Those cavities I had? You're fully responsible. My parents had prepared an absurdly lavish dinner. Roast chicken. Mashed potatoes. Braised green beans with meat. Oh my God, I stared at the table. Dad, did you move Thanksgiving up? Are you planning to make me eat leftovers for a week after I leave? That's neither scientific nor healthy. Promise me you won't do this again. The moment the words came out, I froze. That sounded way too much like a last will. My mom raised her fork and knocked me lightly on the head. You ungrateful child. Your father lined up at Costco at 5 in the morning just to get the freshest ingredients because he heard you were coming back. I clutched my head and wailed dramatically. Mia finally picked up her fork and very wisely exclaimed, Auntie, this sauce is incredible. Oh, this girl has taste, my mom beamed. If it's good, eat more. Tomorrow I'll have your UNC, she almost slipped. Auntie will show you another specialty. Perfect, Mia said cheerfully. After dinner, I collapsed onto the living room couch, completely empty. Waves of sharp pain twisted through my stomach, and I curled up instinctively to ease it. My parents were busy loading the dishwasher in the kitchen. The moment I come home, I revert to useless mode, I murmured. They won't let me do anything. They keep calling me the family princess. Say Hollywood is too hard on me and that when I'm home, my only job is to breathe. Your family atmosphere is really wonderful, Mia said softly. Yeah. I looked around. I'd bought this house for them after I became famous, but the furniture was exactly the same as before. Tonight you can squeeze into bed with me. Like a high school girl's sleepover. Really? Mia's eyes lit up. The fans are going to be insanely jealous. After the pain passed, a crushing wave of exhaustion followed. I fell asleep on the couch without realizing it. When I woke up, it was already dark. A blanket had been draped over me. Mia was sitting on the carpet, quietly watching. Why didn't you wake me? I asked. Her voice was soft. I didn't have the heart to. I watched you for 2 hours. You look really beautiful when you're asleep. June 15th, 2024 to June 17th, 2024. Episode 3, Part 2. Why do we always have to face goodbye? Because I want to go to the next stop early, to help you set up your new home. After dinner, I came out of the bathroom. The phone on its tripod in the living room was silently recording everything. My mom finally couldn't hold it in anymore. She stopped me, worry filling her eyes. Baby, tell me the truth. What's going on? Where's your hair? I was struck by how sharp she was. I'd managed to hide it for so long, but this moment was inevitable. I took a deep breath and forced a casual tone. It's for a role. I'm playing a woman in a POW camp. She gets abused. Half her head gets shaved. For realism, I just shaved it all. Inside, my heart was racing. I had no idea whether this flimsy Hollywood excuse would fool her. Thankfully, she seemed to accept it. Don't they have those, what do you call them, special effects wigs? My hair's too thick, I said smoothly. Wearing one makes my head look big. Doesn't look like someone who's suffered. And hair grows back anyway. I'm a professional, I don't want to cheat the audience. I even teased her. How did you notice? I wanted to surprise you. Take that wig off and let me see, she said, her eyes reddening. You came from my body. I'd notice if you lost even a single eyelash. I recognize your hairline. I gave her a thumbs up. You're amazing. Nothing gets past you. The moment I took off the wig, I saw it, the flash of heartbreak in my mother's eyes. Mom, please don't look at me like that. I'm afraid I'll really fall apart. It took everything I had to get through my parents. Once I finally made it back to my room, Mia was still holding the camera, and she caught me crying. I bit down hard on my lip, forcing myself not to make a sound. She immediately put the camera down and rushed over. Scarlett, don't cry, okay? Please don't cry. I couldn't hold it anymore. I wrapped my arms around her and broke. Do you know what that feels like? Parents burying their child. I'm not afraid of dying. I'm terrified they won't survive it. After crying for a while, I remembered there was still something important to do. I asked you to come because I want you to help me record this. I pulled a thick stack of envelopes out of my bag. Think of it like a treasure hunt. I've saved quite a bit of money over the years, but I turned it into different kinds of gifts, and hid them all around the house. If they're heartbroken after I'm gone, you give them the clues. Let them stay busy. Let them play this game, searching for the gifts. That night, Mia and I squeezed into the same bed. I talked endlessly to the camera, rambling about small, scattered things. I don't know if I missed anything. The scholarship fund I set up, I've already arranged for a trust to keep it running. The new wing I promised to donate to the community library just broke ground. I won't make it to the ribbon cutting. Please apologize to the director for me. At the premiere of my last film, a lot of critics said my face looked swollen. That was a side effect of steroids. Sorry for ruining the aesthetics. Do you remember when I was learning how to ride a bike? Dad was holding the back and swore he wouldn't let go. I turned around, and he was already 10 meters away. I panicked, crashed into a bush, and knocked out a tooth. That's why I have a porcelain crown now. When I first started out, I got rejected at auditions all the time. I'd hide in the bathroom and cry, then fix my makeup and walk back out smiling. My public image is all minimalist gray, cool, restrained. But inside, I'm obsessed with pink. I was afraid people would think I was tacky, so I kept pretending to be aloof. I said it so many times I almost believed it myself. I've already retouched the photo for my funeral. Don't use one of those lifeless black and white shots. Use the one where I'm smiling the brightest in Hawaii. I'll send it to you later. Honestly, I haven't been a good daughter. The only things I can leave them are these checks hidden in envelopes, and memories. That part of the video was unbearably shaky. The next morning, both Mia and I had swollen eyes. Guess staying up late binge-watching shows isn't an option anymore, I joked stiffly. These dark circles won't even cover. I dragged Mia into another full day of eating everything in sight. By late afternoon, it was time for me to leave. My mom stuffed 2 glass jars into my hands. The food on set must be all oil and salt. This is blueberry jam I made, low sugar. You're supposed to lose weight for that role, right? This one's safe. I turned to Mia. You know what, this really is made by my mom. She's terrible at cooking, but this jam is unbeatable. Mom, grab 2 jars for Mia too. Mia tried to wave it off. I took them anyway. Let's go. We've got an early flight to the set tomorrow. Don't miss it. I drove out of the neighborhood. About half an hour later, I suddenly pulled over onto an empty shoulder, threw the car door open, and vomited violently into the grass. I'd forced down too much food these past 2 days just to make them happy. My stomach had already given up. Now it felt like a knife was twisting inside me. When I finally caught my breath, I leaned against the car door, my face smeared with tears and mucus. Mia. I'll never get to eat my mom's jam again. Look at me, I'm still alive, but my body has already rejected her love. This time, Mia completely fell apart. I'd never heard a girl cry like that, raw, broken, like a frightened little animal howling. Stop crying, I said weakly. You're crying so ugly it's making me not want to cry anymore. She tossed her phone onto the passenger seat. The camera pointed up at the sunroof. The frame showed nothing but blue sky and treetops, while her voice collapsed in the background. How can I not be devastated? I'm with you, counting down your last days. I'm hurting so much I feel like I'm dying too. Why can't I cry? I just want to cry. July 1st, 2024 to July 2nd, 2024. Episode 4, Part 1. If there were a time machine, I'd want to meet every single one of you. Once this episode goes live, the haters on Reddit are definitely going to say I'm padding runtime again, I said. I'd been hunched over my desk in the same position for far too long. My wrist was trembling from the strain. That won't happen, Mia replied gently. For your fans, just being able to see that you're still breathing, still smiling, is already more than enough. I lifted the classic 8x10 glossy headshot in my hand and waved it at the camera. I set a goal for myself, 10,000 autographs. But clearly, my body isn't letting me be a model worker anymore. I'll sign as many as I can. Scarlett, if you're tired, stop, Mia urged. Your fans will worry. My agent told me that my signed photos are already being resold on the black market for insane prices, I said. I'll have the studio set up a fair online lottery. As long as you're a verified fan, if you win, I'll mail it to you for free. I'll even cover shipping. I looked straight into the camera, my expression turning serious, like I was delivering a public service announcement. Listen carefully. If I see anyone auctioning these on eBay, I swear, if I become a ghost, I'll knock on your door at midnight. Don't make money off the dead. That's bad luck. Got it? Being your fan sounds amazing, Mia said softly. It's not that great, I replied, putting my pen down, lost in thought. I'm controversial. My fans are always fighting for me online, arguing with strangers. Every time I tell them, haters gonna hate, just ignore it, they refuse to back down. After this, they can finally rest. Mia paused. Is there anything else you want to say to them? I set the pen aside and faced the camera, solemn and deliberate. I want to ask you to keep looking at this messy, beautiful world for me. These past few years, my schedule was always packed. I flew through so many cities but only ever saw hotel ceilings. I never really got to taste the local food. I never had the chance to truly see you, the lovely people behind the screens. My Instagram account won't be deleted. If you want, my farewell post will stay pinned. You can leave comments there. Tell me which national park you visited today. Which tiny bar served the best craft beer. Or just that you saw a beautiful sunset while walking your dog. Oh, and eat more of those buffalo wings that make your eyes water. You know how much I love those. I like to think that even in some parallel universe, I'll still be scrolling through your comments. That sounds fun. And to the people who've cursed me online, maybe in the next life, we can be friends? Being hated all the time is exhausting. I don't want to be a target forever. Still, I have to admit, your cruelty helped me grow a pretty strong heart. By the time I reached the last autograph, I couldn't hold on anymore. I collapsed onto the desk and fell asleep. In my dream, Lucas held me, his eyes gentle. "Let's have a child," he said. "One who looks like you and like me." I woke up drenched in cold sweat. Because of the aggressive chemotherapy, my uterus had already been damaged. In that war for survival, I seemed to have lost my qualification to become a mother. July 1st, 2024 to July 2nd, 2024. Episode 4, Part 2. If there were a time machine, I'd want to meet every single one of you. "I bought a batch of gifts," I said. "Today, we're going to play a city-wide scavenger hunt." I pointed to several carefully wrapped boxes in the trunk. I hesitated for a long time, and my lawyer warned me there could be legal risks. "So you have to promise me, you'll follow the rules." "I'll hide the gifts under park benches, in corners of independent bookstores no one notices, or in safe areas with no traffic. The clue videos will be released in stages. On the third day after each video goes live, Mia will help me place the gifts at the designated locations. If searching for the gifts causes chaos or safety issues, the event will be cancelled immediately, and all gifts will be donated to charity. This is the last interactive game between you and me. I hope you have fun." Mia glanced at the back seat, at the pile of luxury brand garment bags. "You brought this many outfits. Are you shooting a fashion spread today?" "Yeah." I smiled. "I want to leave one last set of photos on my Instagram. I've already chosen 8. I'll leave the 9th square empty, let everyone help me complete it." "What about a photographer?" she asked. "You didn't book that master who shot your magazine covers?" "You," I said simply. "You're right here." She froze. "Scarlett, are you serious? My photography skills are so bad even my mom complains. I'm scared I'll make you look awful, and then your tens of millions of followers will cyberbully me." She was genuinely panicking now, fingers tangled in the camera strap. "It's fine," I said calmly. "We've got all day. We'll take a few hundred shots, surely we can find 8 usable ones. Besides, I'm naturally beautiful. I don't need Photoshop." I regretted that confidence very quickly. "Okay, Mia," I sighed, staring at the blurry photo on the screen. "I know Gen Z is into authenticity, but this is too authentic." "Are you sure you're a video creator?" "I never use filters on videos," she protested. "Still photography is just hard. Lighting, composition, it's way too complicated." "All right," I said, forcing optimism as I looked at my ghostly outline. "This is called art. It's lo-fi. You wouldn't understand." "You're evil," she shot back. I waved at the camera for a final send-off. "All right, goodbye for now. We're heading off to finish the last shoot. The final photos will be up on my page soon. Stay tuned. This will be my last masterpiece." July 10th, 2024 to July 12th, 2024. Episode 5, Part 1. Learning how to say goodbye is a course we spend our entire lives failing. "Scarlett, wait. Is that the legendary rumored boyfriend?" Mia's voice, even off camera, was impossible to ignore. I raised a finger to my lips. "Sure. Keep it down. This counts as an exclusive." I turned to the lens. "Let me properly introduce him. This is Harry, the so-called mysterious third party the tabloids claimed destroyed my marriage. In reality, we were bathing in the same tub back when we were still in diapers." I glanced at Harry apologetically. "So, about my illness." Other than my oncologist, Harry was the first person to know. "I feel pretty bad about it." He was in the middle of running a hedge fund, drowning in work, and now he's basically my full-time caregiver. He knows my chemo schedule better than I do. Mia was starting to look like a real journalist now. She swung the camera toward him. Mr. Harry, may I ask, why did you agree to play the role of the Hollywood bad boy back then? Harry, dressed in a casual linen shirt, frowned at the camera, helpless. How was I supposed to know she'd come up with something that cruel? But when she showed up at my door holding her diagnosis report, what was I supposed to say? No, figure it out yourself? Were the confrontations really that intense? Mia pressed. Intense. Harry snorted. My nose almost got broken. He pointed at his straight nose. Lucas trained in boxing. It happened in the parking lot of a charity gala. I didn't fight back because I was cooperating with Scarlett's plan. If I had, it wouldn't have been one-sided. Oh please, I muttered. Men and their weird competitive instincts. So, Mr. Trust Fund Prince, are you taking me or not? Harry instantly switched modes, gentle as a professional butler. I'll get the wheelchair. Wait in the car. He returned with a sleek, lightweight wheelchair, thoughtfully lined with a cashmere blanket. I told you I can walk, I complained. You don't need to make this such a production. We were heading to Harry's beachfront house in the Hamptons. The privacy there was perfect, no paparazzi. Stop talking and sit, he said, firmly pressing me down into the chair. I obeyed, curling myself into the blanket. I'm just going to the hospital for a checkup, I said lightly. Why do you look like I'm being marched to an execution? Smile, Harry. He forced one. It looked worse than crying. The video didn't show the process of my palliative treatment. The camera simply cut from me getting into the car, to me getting out again. The only difference was my face, paler, unfocused, as if something inside me had quietly shut down. We returned to the beach house. I made a list, I said. I'm going to host a few small private gatherings here. Not funerals, more like living funerals. The kind with champagne and sarcasm. I spent 2 days inviting people in waves, my closest friends, both inside and outside the industry. After each party ended, I stood on the porch and hugged them goodbye, one by one. Some friends raised their glasses and joked, so, are you really with Harry now? Is this an official announcement party? That's what real friends are like. They don't care about the so-called cheating rumors. They stand on your side without conditions, using humor to dissolve the awkwardness. I laughed and answered, who knows? All I know is, I'm happily single right now. In the end, I turned to the camera, and to everyone there, and waved seriously. Goodbye. If parallel universes really exist, I'll see you on the other side. July 10th, 2024 to July 12th, 2024. Episode 5, Part 2, Mia's Perspective. Learning how to say goodbye is a course we spend our entire lives failing. This episode doesn't have the heroine you're expecting. I'm the narrator. I'm Mia, a small-time video creator who was seen only because of luck, and because of Scarlett's kindness. Scarlett was the 7th and final subject of my wish list series. At the very end of this video, I'll include the unedited footage from the day I randomly stopped her on the street. A lot of people in the comments have asked me the same question. Why would someone as famous as Scarlett choose a nobody like me to make the final curtain call? Before I answer that, I want to talk about what happened after the first 4 episodes were released. Scarlett originally said she wanted to make 7 videos. But I became greedy. I couldn't bear to let her go. So I edited the footage obsessively, cutting it into parts, part 1, part 2, stretching time wherever I could. I was just like you. Greedy. Desperate to make her time last longer. Longer. Just a little longer. You have no idea how many times I broke down in the editing room. I cried until I couldn't breathe, had to stop working, step out onto the balcony just to get air. And yet, I was lucky. If I hadn't stopped her that day, if I hadn't asked that reckless question, she might really have followed her original plan. She might have disappeared quietly, like David Bowie, leaving the world with nothing but a beautiful unanswered question. On the surface, it looked like she was documenting herself. But I knew the truth. She was using the very last of her influence to help me, a creator on the edge of bankruptcy. Even at the end of her life, she was still taking care of the people around her. If I could trade places, I would rather these videos stay locked forever on a hard drive, in exchange for her getting to live. But that's just my fantasy. I followed our agreement and mailed out all the gifts. I have to say, Scarlett's fans are incredible. Everyone who received a gift posted photos on Instagram and tagged the memorial account. And I want to make this clear, every single gift was personally chosen and packed by her. I was just the courier. After the documentary was released, I met him. Lucas. The tech giant who always looks ice-cold in financial news cried in front of me like a child who'd lost his favorite toy. I know Scarlett would never want you to see the man she loved her entire life in such a broken state, so I heavily blurred his face. Scarlett saw this coming, I told him. She said if you came looking for me, I should tell you not to cry. She said it wouldn't look cool. Does she have any idea how cruel this is to me? Lucas's voice was hoarse. She also said, if you scold her, I should scold you back. I took a deep breath and forced myself to say it. Lucas, it's too late. You were always staring at stock prices and earnings reports. You didn't even notice when she started wearing wigs. That broke him. He buried his head in his hands and collapsed into the couch. It's my fault, all of it. But why didn't she give me a chance to make it right? Why didn't she tell me? I shook my head. Everything she wanted to say to you is in the videos. As for why, I paused. My guess is, she loved you too much. She didn't want you to spend the rest of your life trapped in the nightmare of watching her slowly die. Where is she buried? I can give you the cemetery address, I said carefully, but are you sure you want to go? What do you mean by that? Mr. Lucas, you've already started a new life, I tried to stop him. Why disturb her now? I regret it, he said, smiling in a way that looked almost broken. I regretted everything the moment I saw the first video. I've always loved her. That so-called new life was nothing but self-deception. That's not what the media says, I replied. You claim you couldn't forget Scarlett, yet right after the divorce you were photographed dating supermodels. That's not fair to your current partner either. He lowered his head. Those were just a few failed dates. The girl dumped me a long time ago, because even in my sleep, I kept calling Scarlett's name. But Scarlett, she never gave me a chance to explain. How could she? She was already gone. Maybe that's exactly why she didn't tell you, I said quietly. She didn't want to see things end up like this. The second person I interviewed was Harry. He agreed to see me again at his house in the Hamptons. On camera, the once sharp, charismatic man looked visibly older, worn down by something deeper than time. To my surprise, he asked me first. Do you know why I agreed to this interview? I was confused. I don't know. You already knew everything about Scarlett. He shook his head and gave a bitter smile to the camera. I knew everything about her. But there's one thing in this world she never knew, until the day she died. He poured himself a glass of whiskey and continued. The reason I agreed to that ridiculous request, to play her secret lover, was because I loved her. Not just as a friend. She can't hear this now, so I'll say whatever I want. When she was alive, I never confessed, because I knew her heart only had room for Lucas. She was that kind of fool. Once she loved someone, she gave them everything. Saying this to the camera now is just for me. So I won't regret it as much. At least in the final script of her life, I was the male lead who stayed by her side, even if it was only acting. Damn it, Scarlett. In the next life, will you come find me first? Dating me wouldn't be so bad, you know. July 30th, 2024. Episode 6. If there's anything more frightening than death, it's leaving with regrets. Facing the camera, I felt nervous again, for the first time in a long while. Mia teased me from the side. Scarlett, you faced billions of people. Are you really getting stage fright in front of a phone? Of course, I said, taking a deep breath and straightening my collar. Usually I'm playing someone else. Today, I'm saying goodbye as myself. This is the premiere of my one-woman show. I gestured to what I was wearing. Look. I'm wearing the suit I wore the first time I ever walked a red carpet. Still fits pretty well, right? Mia adjusted the lights. Perfect. Go ahead, Scarlett. I'm recording. I stayed at home for half a month. During that time, I didn't let Mia film anything. I was a little selfish. I wanted to keep the last stretch of time with my parents all to myself. I think those were the calmest, happiest days of my life. But the bad news is, my body feels like an old car about to be scrapped. Parts are failing one by one. Even my hospice nurse asked me, "Sweetheart, are you sure you still want to keep hiding this from them?" I once thought about planning myself a grand funeral. A jazz band. A champagne tower. Something straight out of The Great Gatsby. I even obsessed over which movie quote should go on my tombstone. Later, I got tired of thinking about it. I figured my parents would handle everything. Or Harry, that control freak, would make sure it was all perfectly arranged. In the end, I just wanted to be a spoiled little girl again. To be lazy one last time. I looked straight into the lens. To those of you who cried as soon as you saw the first video, don't cry. I've just wrapped filming. I'm heading to another set to shoot the sequel. Maybe it's a superhero movie. Maybe I'm off to save the world. Oh, and Scarlett is just my stage name. My real name is Sarah. Don't forget the little girl who loved fries. So, this has been a very long, unbroken take. And now, the director is calling cut. Goodbye. August 2nd, 2024. Episode 7, Part 1. The Final Easter Egg. Don't be nervous. Just read what's written. This time, I was the one holding the phone. In the frame sat Mia. "Scarlett, maybe you should say it yourself," she whispered, twisting the hem of her shirt. "I'm better behind the camera. I get stage fright." "No," I shook my head. "I look terrifying right now. Do me a favor, let my last IMDb thumbnail be pretty, okay?" I handed her a handwritten card. "Read it." Mia took it reluctantly. She barely made it through 2 lines before her voice broke. "I'm sorry. Even though I promised 7 wishes, the truth is, this last one is private. I don't want it made public. I've entrusted Mia to carry it out for me. It concerns only the person I love most. It has nothing to do with the world. I'm tired now. The camera should be turned off." When she finished, she looked up at me through tears. "Scarlett, are you sure you don't want to say a little more?" This girl was crying so hard she didn't even care how she looked anymore. "Stop crying," I sighed. "You're the center of the internet right now. Crying this ugly, how are you going to land sponsorships later?" I took the phone back and turned the camera toward myself. In this moment, I wasn't wearing a wig. No makeup. Just skin and bones. "Ugly or not, this is the last look you get," I said calmly. "Look carefully. After this, you'll only see me in old movies." "Oh, by the way," I added, suddenly mischievous. "Which tabloid was it that said I had a nose job?" I pinched my nose hard and made a ridiculous pig face at the camera. "See? All natural. Born this way." "Okay, yes, I've had Botox, but this nose is real." "Do you think my parents will cry when they see this?" I raised my hand and flashed a huge peace sign. "Everyone cheese." August 2nd, 2024. Episode 7, Part 2, Mia's Perspective. The Final Easter Egg. August 7th, 2024. Sarah, Scarlett, left us. According to her wishes, her corneas were donated to 2 blind children. She said she wanted someone to keep watching movies for her. To keep watching sunrises. As for the rest of her organs, the doctors said they couldn't be used because of the chemotherapy. But she tried. The 9 photos were posted as her final Instagram update and pinned to the top of her profile. The comment section exploded. Tens of thousands of people flooded in, keeping the promise they made, to see the world for her. I saved a few of the most liked comments. Think of them as keepsakes. At Sarah's_fan. "Scarlett, I went to Joe's Diner for you today. I ordered the chili cheese fries. Double cheese. Joe cried when he saw your photo. Greasy, irresistible fries. At Chef Mike. Scarlett, I tried making a traditional Thanksgiving turkey today. Burned it to charcoal. I tasted it for you, spit it out. Bitter as hell. A blackened turkey. At Travelbug. Scarlett, you probably never made it to Alaska. This is the aurora I photographed for you. It's as beautiful as your eyes. Photo, Green Northern Lights. At study abroad. Scarlett, I tried British University cafeteria food for you. It really is awful. I forced myself to finish it, for you. Photo, Unidentifiable food. At Dad of 2. Scarlett, since you're over there, could you check on my dad for me? Tell him hi. He has a big beard and laughs a lot. Photo, An elderly man. At Spicy Lover. Scarlett, I challenged those devil wings, where you have to sign a waiver. My lips swelled up, it hurt like hell, but somehow it felt amazing. Photo, Swollen lips. At Little Sister. Scarlett, my little sister was your fan too. She went to that world last month. Could you sign an autograph for her as well? At Movie Buff. Scarlett, your last movie hasn't even been released yet. How could you leave the stage so soon? At Lucas_L. Scarlett, I hate you, but I miss you even more. If life had a rewind button, would she still have chosen to leave? Finale, Mia's monologue. After the funeral, I returned to Scarlett's parents' house with the first letter. In just a few short weeks, the two of them seemed to have aged 10 years. The laughter that once filled the house was gone, replaced by a heavy, frozen silence. This is something Scarlett asked me to give you, I said. The envelope was sealed tightly with wax. I would never intrude on her privacy. Scarlett's mother took it, but didn't open it right away. Instead, she gently placed it on the coffee table, right where Scarlett used to prop her feet. Mia, she asked, her voice trembling, at the end, was she in a lot of pain? My eyes burned, but I remembered Scarlett's instructions. She said the doctors gave her the best morphine pump, I replied softly. She said it felt like floating on clouds. It didn't hurt that much. I lied. In those final days, painkillers barely touched the cancer pain. Cold sweat soaked through the sheets. Even when she slipped in and out of consciousness, she was still groaning. That's good, her mother said, as if comforted. That child, she's always been like this. Only sharing good news, never the bad. But did she really think that by hiding it, our hearts wouldn't break? I didn't know how to answer. In her last stretch of time, Scarlett had done everything she could to play the role of a healthy daughter. The bitterness of that choice was something only those of us who knew the truth could understand. Actually, her mother suddenly said, I knew she was sick. I looked up in shock. Before you ever brought her home the first time, I already knew. She wiped her tears, her voice painfully calm. I gave birth to her. How could I not tell? She was painfully thin. She loved acting, yet suddenly retired. The way she'd wince when the pain hit, even that wig. I recognized it the moment I saw it. She paused. I knew she didn't want us to fall apart. So I had no choice but to endure it. To play along with her. She's father, her voice cracked. So she could eat just one more bite. He spent every day these past 2 weeks hiding in the garage, watching cooking tutorials. Learning how to make the dishes she loved. That was it. I completely broke down, sobbing in the middle of the living room. I couldn't understand it. Why, in a final farewell, did love become something so unbearably heavy? One person desperately hiding the truth. 2 others desperately pretending not to see it. Who suffered more? At least in the end, her final moments were wrapped in love. There were no regrets. I still have many letters in my bag. As Scarlett asked, I'll mail one to her parents every month, until all 5 years' worth are sent. She told me, that's as long as I can stay with them. At least when a letter arrives each month, they'll have something to look forward to. Like I'm still off filming somewhere. As for Harry, she left him a single, heavy package. I didn't dare watch him open it, but I know that tough guy probably cried like a wreck after I left. Harry, I told him, she said this is your brotherhood keepsake. It was a photo album filled with Polaroids, every embarrassing moment from diapers to adulthood. She spent an entire day making it. That was the day she felt the best, mentally and physically. And Lucas. He received 3 letters. I once considered holding them back, as punishment for his so-called new relationship. But in the end, he just looked like a pitiful man. After the documentary aired, Lucas's PR team released a statement. He stepped down as CEO, saying he was taking a long leave. He looked terrible. I'll mail him one letter each year. Scarlett told me, Mia, by the time he gets the last letter, 3 years will have passed. The pain should have scarred over. I hope by then, he can truly turn the page and love someone else. Yes. That was Scarlett's unspeakable secret. Her final act of love for him was letting him forget her. About 10 days later, I received a package. The sender was Scarlett's lawyer. Inside was a brand new professional cinema camera. And a note. To my best director, Mia, go shoot something happy. S. Yeah, Sarah. I hate you. But I miss you so much. The end.